Welcome back to the channel, guys. This week we got the pleasure of working with two gold rings that needed turquoise inlay. Decided we would take the camera out and see if we can show you guys any tips and tricks. Enjoy! Alright, so our turquoise, we have with the rings we have an 8mm and then I believe a 4mm. And then the turquoise we get from... Well, we actually supply the turquoise on our website, $10 an ounce, and this baggie that we have here is 1 ounce, so it's going to make quite a bit of inlays. And then we're using this on top of an anvil that we got from Harbor Freight. This little plastic piece that I took from the top of an aerosol container and cut the top of the lid off. And a little hammer that we also got from Harbor Freight to smash until we get the size that we need. And I just crush half of it at one time and half another, just so make it easier. It's best if there's no stones on top of one another when you're smashing it. And then also that second pile I didn't smash quite as much because I want the bigger pieces, about half the size of what came in the bag. I'll use this little daub of glue on a piece of wood over here and then use a toothpick or a thin piece of wood to either grab the stone or to put that little bit of glue into the ring. And then with this piece, I am just putting in one large piece at a time and going all the way around. If you were wanting to do a specific design or something into the ring, maybe two different colors of opal, this is also how I would do it as well, is one just large pieces scattered however I wanted to scatter them, followed by a little bit of smaller pieces as well. And once we finish these larger pieces, I'll take smaller bits of turquoise and just sprinkle it all over the ring so that it can use up all that extra glue underneath the larger pieces so that we don't have any spots where we might be able to see through the inlay to the gold. So now that we have the big pieces in, which is glue first, then the big pieces, I'm going to take smaller bits down to dust, and this is what I mean, just covering the glue with any turquoise that didn't just to fill up all the glue spots. And now we're going for a medium fill around the turquoise, and so I have the two piles of turquoise that we crushed. I'm just going for a medium inside there, followed by a dust on top of that, and then very tiny drops of thin CA over that. These extender pieces are really useful, and we have them for 3 of them for $5 on the website. They also can sit in acetone, so if you ever have a problem clogging them up, you can always throw them in acetone to clear them out. While this is going, guys, so we have now been printing our mandrels in carbon fiber, which you can see here, carbon fiber nylon, which is resistant to acetone. I'm thinking that maybe we could start trying to print our mandrel holders in the same sort of material that would be resistant to acetone as well, so if you get glue on it, you can just wipe it off with acetone. Comment below if you think you would want the mandrel holder in a carbon fiber or nylon. Maybe the option of plastic PLA and carbon fiber. Both of the options might be available. So we're almost at the end here, and again we're just doing turquoise first, large bits, followed by dust, followed by a thin CA, just enough to send it all the way down through the stone. Once we have that, I'm going to go around the ring with very fine dust to fill in any gaps that we may have missed. Sometimes in this stage you don't necessarily need to add glue because it's still wet, so the dust will soak up the glue in that area, or you can just add tiny amounts of the thin CA on top of your dust. And we're just going to fill in any air bubbles that we can at this point. Next up, we are going to take it to a lathe, now that we have that entirely filled in, and add a few more drops to the rough stuff. This helps fill in gaps where there might be gaps, and we just let that dry into this big clumpy mess that we have here. And now we're just using our carbide rougher tool, going really slow to not break anything off. And we also don't want to go into the gold. And then we take our carbide rougher to go through the edges so we have enough room for a clear coat finish. And this is also when we're going to check for gaps that might be in the stones that we missed earlier. And we're just going to fill that in with some turquoise dust along with small drops of CA. And that step is before any sanding. I just always do this right after the carbide tool without any sanding, because once you sand, it starts to fill in all those gaps with dust and grime, so it's harder to clean them out. Where if you just do it right after the tool, very easy to clean out, and then you fill them with stone, and then you don't have to worry about it. And all I'm doing here now is a 320 grit sandpaper, wet sanding the turquoise to give it a little bit of a shine. A little bit of acetone to clean that up. And then we have all that rough turquoise in there. Right now at this step would be the perfect time to clean up anything that you don't want to show up in your ring. That's any dust or holes, pinholes, anything like that you don't want in the ring. Now would be the time to clean it up. Now we are just applying a flex CA. And I will link to our other videos of our glass finish on rings, because we're just going to use the same process that we do on this video as we do in the other video. And it looks like we're using a lot more accelerator than we are. We're not really using that much accelerator. We're about 12 inches away with very small, less than a second sprays, so that we don't get any heating when the CA is curing, to avoid air bubbles as well. I'm using a fresh carbide side. Out of our 4 squares we have, I moved it to a brand new one so I could get a really clean cut on this CA finish. The reason for that is I want a really clean cut so I don't have to sand this ring, and I don't like sanding gold. You can if you want. It's probably not that big of a deal, but if I can avoid sanding it, then I will. I also use this method for Damascus steel because I don't want to sand Damascus that's already been etched. So I'll just go really slow. And here I am holding the carbide tip up to the ring while I just spin it by hand. And that just gets all the glue off without taking any of the gold off. And that's that. So I'll link here to our how we polish the rings so you can watch that video. And then here are our finished pieces. Thank you all for sticking around and always supporting us, guys. And we will see you on the next one. Have a good day.